Hello everyone, it's me Sarah. Welcome to my channel Curious Cuttlefish and welcome to day 2 of our yarn dyeing adventure. Everyone and welcome to today's yarn dyeing adventure. I had my yarn soaking overnight, so now we're going to go and take that over to the dining table, where I will show you one method that uses plastic wrap and the microwave, and then I'll go back to my other method, which uses a pot with some water and vinegar. So just making a little note here for the yarn that I am using with the plastic wrap and microwave. I did my steps slightly out of order. Normally you would mix vinegar in with your dye, but I did the vinegar afterwards. It is better to do it before. So just that little note right there, and let me show you guys what I have been doing.
Okay everybody, so here I have the yarn that I have been pre-soaking, and I am going to be showing you how to dye yarn if you were to paint on the dye. So I am going to prepare my table right here by spreading some plastic wrap right over. So let me prep this table and then I will show you guys how you want to lay out your yarn. Oops. Okay, so here I have my table covered with plastic wrap. I am going to be putting, I'm going to do 2 skeins. So this is pre-soaked yarn. Actually, I think I'm going to lay it out like this. So there's one. We'll see if this is long enough for me to do my second one right here. Okay, so let me lay these out and then let me show you guys the types of dyes I'm going to be using on these skeins of yarn. So there we go. There are the 2 skeins I'm going to be dyeing, or the 2 hanks I should say. And now the picture that I had for this colorway, I'm going to flash it up here for you guys to see. If I haven't already, I probably have in my process days. So let me show you the dyes I'm going to be using. I am going to be using this black food coloring from the dollar store to get my gray. I am using the Rit Royal Blue dye for my blue. And then I also have some Rit Yellow dye for my yellow. I'm going to be adding just a touch of this food coloring to it so it won't be as bright as this yellow. So let me get my dyes mixed up and then I will bring you guys back. Okay, so I've mixed up all the dyes. Here's the yellow. And what I am using to apply the dyes is just a foam brush. So I'm just going to stick this in here. And how I'm going to do this is I'm just going to paint this dye right on to the yarn, just like that. I'm hoping that I can fully saturate this with this color. there's the yellow for this side. Do the same for over here. More water to this. So we want to make sure that we got the color all over that section. There will be our yellow. Used up all of that color. Alright, and then I am going to do a little gray portion right here and right here. I need to wash my foam brush thoroughly, so let me go do that and I'll be right back. Okay, so here's the gray I mixed up. This is just a little bit of that black food coloring that I have put with some water. So let's see how this turns out. Okay, it's a little darker than I thought, but I'm hoping some of it will fade a bit in the washing process. So just add a bit here and here. Remember, I'm trying to keep this yellow yellow and not get any green happening, so that was the goal. So there's my gray portions for one. Let's do the other. And I'm going to even check the other side too to make sure that this color, you want to make sure that the color goes all the way through to all the fibers, to all the strands, because sometimes when you flip this over, yeah, might not hit everything. So just be sure that you check. Probably have to go back and hit the yellow again too. So. There's our gray. And now I'm going to move over to our blue. Here's our blue. And I already pre-mixed this. I think I'm going to add another blue to it as well. We're just going to see how this one turns out. Ooh, I'm very happy with that color. So I'm just going to paint this along. So you can see right there, look at those colors. Very nice. Okay. So I have a little bit of this left. What I'm gonna do, I'm gonna add a touch of gray to my blue. If we get another shade of blue, perfect. Pinch off this water here. This last bit should be a little lighter. Perfect. Alright, so now I'm just gonna check the other side. Try to hit these with that last little bit of dye. But I do want to leave just a tad bit of the white in there, because I think it'll make a nice variation, variety in that blue. So, there we go, we've used up the last of that. Now what we're gonna do, and I'm trying not to get green, I'm noticing that there's a touch of green in these little spots right here. But what I'm gonna do is, I am going to add a little bit of vinegar that I'm gonna spray mist over this, and then I'm gonna show you guys me wrapping it up. So let me go get some vinegar to spray and I'll be right back. Okay, so I have a spray bottle that has some vinegar in here, so I'm just gonna lightly spray this. Not exactly the mist I was hoping for, but that's okay. We just need it to be slightly acidic so that the fibers absorb the color that we have applied on here. So now what I'm gonna do is move everything out of the way. I'll do it with this one here. So I'm just gonna fold this in. And the idea here is that I'm going to roll this up like so. And let's hope that it doesn't become too green when I'm making this. So I'm going to roll this up. It's just going to be a roll like this. So there's the yarn in there. I'm going to do it again with this one. Let's cover this both sides. And I am just going to roll this up. Okay, so what I'm going to do with these rolls, we're actually going to be microwaving this yarn. So I'm going to microwave this yarn for 3 minutes, let it sit, microwave it again for another 3 minutes and let it sit. And then you're just gonna wait for it to come down to room temperature. So I'm gonna check it after every 3 minutes. I will let you know once it is coming down to room temperature how many times I did that step, just so that we make sure that these colors set. So let me go take it over there and I'll show you guys once it's done being heated. Okay, so here we have our water that is boiling. Right here in the pan, I have our yarn that has been soaking overnight. So let me add a dye to the pot. I already added 2 tablespoons of vinegar. So right here, I am going to be using some food coloring to get our green. 1, 2, 3. So, oops, a little more than that. 4 drops of the green. I am going to add in some of this other green that I pre-mixed up. So let's get this going in there. And here are my tongs. These are designated for my yarn dyeing, and that is all that they are used for. All of this is separate from the stuff that I use for my food. Okay, so we are going to be using 2 different types of yarn for this colorway. So let me get them all here. I am going to dump them in all together, and you'll see how the dye behaves differently on different fibers. Okay, so I'm hoping to get a green and purple colorway. As I'm looking at this now, this is rather blue. I think I have to add more yellow to the dye bath. So I'll hold this up here and try to grab that yellow. Mix that around. It's very bright. That yellow striped very quickly. Okay, I'm gonna add a little bit more of this. I have a nice green tone going right down there. Just kind of want it to fade up. And then I'm going to be mixing up a purple to go in here. We have a nice green gradient happening. Let this sit and boil for just a bit. And I got some water out. But as you can see here in the water is turning clear, which means the dye is almost all the way exhausted. So I'm going to pull this out. Water is pretty clear. So put this in the pan on the side. What I am going to do with each of these now, I'm going to show you with one. I am moving my holding piece all the way to the bottom where the green was, and so now the bottom of it will be that white part. So I'm going to just do that with each of my hanks, so that when I dip the next color, the bottom will be that white part, and the top will be the nice deep green colorway. Okay, so now we still have a little bit of dye in the pot. As you can see, it still has that bluish tint. I am going to get some red food coloring, and this red food coloring is just, I found this one at my local 99-cent store. So let me pull it out of there. There it is. It's just some red food coloring. Let's see how this works. This is why you wear gloves, because I already got it on me. So I'm going to put 5 drops of the red in there. Mix that around. Put some blue food coloring in. Okay, so now we have our blue, and I am actually going to add a drop of black food coloring. This black tends to stray more to the blue side, so I think this will give a nice hue, nice purpley color. So can't really tell. I'll find out once I start dipping these in there. So, like I said, I rearranged this, so now the lightest color is on the bottom. This is where the zip ties were before. I'm just going to stick that in. It is still very red. In fact, I think that's more red than I want it to be. I'm going to move this over. That needs a lot more blue in there. So we're going to add some blue dye. So I'm using some Rit Royal Blue dye. This is a powdered dye, so I need to pre-mix it with water. So I'm just pre-mixing it with some water before I can add it to the dye pot. I'm hoping that this makes my purple not so red. And it's more of the blue food coloring. Because I don't want it. I don't want it red. I want it purple. So let me mix this around now. It still looks rather red to me. I'm gonna add a bit more blue. And okay, I took off my glove to mix the blue dye because my glove is wet and this dye is powder, and when the powder gets wet it turns into dye. So try not to get it too messy. I'm going to put the glove back on before adding that dye. Let's see if this is enough blue. I think I added a lot of blue. Let's see if it's green and blue now, actually. I wanted it to be a very purpley color, but we'll see. In mixing my blue dye, I got some blue dye going on here, which is actually fine. I don't mind the streaking. I put some of that powder on my glove on here, so we got spots of blue on this yarn now. But let's dip it in. Oh, so much better. So much better. Okay. Yes, so much better. It's a nice purpley color. I should be able to speckle this with blue when the time comes. So I'm just going to add this slowly bit by bit. I'm going to add more vinegar because there's a lot of dye in here. I want it all to be absorbed. And I'm not sure if you can see how the different fibers are picking up this color differently. It's every other on here. They are picking up this color differently, so. Oh yes, so pretty. I am going to be speckling this color with blue for sure. Definitely. Maybe even painting on some gray streaks in there. Have some yellow specks in the purple and green. That's what I would like to do. Okay, so I'm going to pull this out. This is the color I wanted. Yes, and I want to speckle it with blue. So I have extra dye in my pot. And I have, I think, okay. So I'm going to borrow a zip tie. Okay. So I don't like to leave any dye behind, so I am going to use one of my spare hanks. This hasn't been pre-soaked. I'm just going to drop this in there because I want to get all of the dye used. I'm just gonna let this superwash merino soak up all that extra dye, and then I will bring you guys back for speckling my green and purple colorway with a little bit of blue, and I think brown would look really nice too. So we'll be right back with that. Alright, so now I transferred it over to this smaller pan where it's just lightly covered with the water so that we can do our speckling process. So what I use whenever I want to speckle my yarn, I use disposable plastic knives, yes. So for this knife, I have a little bit of blue on it, so let me just gather some blue. I just dip it into the RIT dye powder, and I'm just gonna tap my finger on here, and it is going to lightly speckle that yarn. See there, you can see some blue appearing right there. So I'm just going to do that around. We'll get some light blue flecks appearing on this yarn. Alright, so there we have some blue flecks appearing. I also wanted to put a hint of brown on the purple and a hint of yellow on the green. So I am going to wipe this knife off. So I want to hit it with a spot of brown. So again, I stick my knife in. I have some brown powder on it now. Lightly tap it. I'm trying to get that powder on those areas. And now let me go grab my yellow powder so I can do a little bit of yellow. I don't really see much of the yellow popping up, but doesn't mean that it's not there. Might come up more after it has dried. We'll see. I know I speckled some yellow on there. So, we have some nice speckling going on this yarn. I now try to wipe down this work area a little bit. I'm gonna let this cook for a while, say 10-15 minutes, and then I'll take it off the heat, and I am just going to let this sit overnight so that it can come down to room temperature before I wash it. So I'll see you guys tomorrow and show you what the washing is like.